Okay, so in this video, I'm going to discuss in some detail how to import historical transactions for PayPal accounts. Whereas the checking and the credit card accounts, savings accounts, they're pretty straightforward like the video I showed you in. PayPal accounts definitely have a lot more nuances to them and a lot more complications. So hopefully we'll knock that out. And I should say here, if you haven't already watched the video on how to import CSV files, I'd recommend you go back and watch that because there's going to be some details covered in that video that I'm going to assume you already know in this video. So if you haven't already, go ahead and watch that CSV import training video. So now we're ready to import your PayPal transactions. So just like the previous video, if you've already imported transactions, it's important to know the beginning and ending date. So the beginning date would be your conversion date. The ending date would be if you've already imported transactions via PayPal. We'd want to know when those were. So I've gone over to logged in already to my PayPal account, and just like with the credit card, you're going to have to go navigate towards the activity. So here are my transactions. I can go ahead and click more here. And now from all our activity, you're going to see on the right hand side, very small, there's going to be a little download button. So following the previous example and the other import videos, I'm going to just change my date range to be the beginning of the year and change it to the current date. And here's definitely an important detail. When you choose the file type to download, you're going to definitely want to pick this third option, comma delimited balance affecting payments. And once you do that, we'll click download history. So I'll go ahead and open this file. And so I've done a little time warp magic. I launched the download file right next to side by side with my web browser. And right away, you're probably going to be pretty overwhelmed by what you see. There's just a ton of data in these files that come out of PayPal, but not to worry, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to help you navigate this. So the main thing that we're trying to accomplish is that when you download balance affecting payments from PayPal, not every transaction that affects your balance is a permanent transaction. Some of them are temporary, and the most common one are there's hold. So PayPal will put a temporary hold on your account when you receive money. And so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to remove all of the temporary transactions and only leave the ones that are permanent in nature. And so what I'm going to do is, this is linked into the course, but here's some download instructions from Xero's help files. And what you're going to see is the standard procedure is to delete any rows that don't contain transactions named completed, cleared, refunded, partially funded, or reversed. And so you're going to see that in the status column. And what I'm going to do, little Excel trick here, is highlight this top column. I'm going to click this sort button. Maybe you're in a Windows computer. I believe if you click the data column, you'll be able to click this filter button. So anyhow, I've set a filter on the top, and I'm going to click this drop down on the status column. What I'm going to go ahead and do is just click this checkbox for all of these. So I'm going to strain out the completed, the cleared. Doesn't look like I have any refunded, but I do have reversed. And what that's going to leave us with, as I close out this little box, that's going to leave us with is a host of temporary transactions. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've strained these, I'm going to select, click and drag to select these rows, and then I'm going to control click on a Mac or right click on a Windows, and I'm going to delete these rows. Now that I've done that, all that's left is to go ahead and clear this filter, and just like magic, all the temporary transactions have been removed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this file and then navigate over to Xero and import it. So here we are back at the dashboard. here we are with our PayPal account. Just like with the other videos, we're going to go to Manage and then Import a Statement. We'll browse, find our desktop, and our PayPal download. I'm going to hide this getting started. And what you're going to see, it's going to look a lot different from the previous imports. There are a ton of columns to map. And being that there's so many columns, we're not actually going to map all of these in Xero. We're only going to map a few. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to map this transaction date. And if the time is mapped to transaction amount, we're going to go ahead and unassign that. Under the name, let's go ahead and assign that to payee. And then under the gross amount, we're going to assign to the transaction amount. And what you're going to notice is there's three columns. There's a gross amount, there's a fee amount, and a net amount. This gross amount and these fee amounts are actually two separate transactions. There's the gross amount is if you were paid, that's money that you earned. But if there's a fee amount, that means that within there you paid a fee over to PayPal, and that's a total separate transaction. So actually what we're doing with this first import, we're going to import the gross and not any of the fees. And then we're going to come back around a second time, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, and we're going to just import the fees in a separate transaction import. So map this gross, leave the fee and the net amount unassigned, and then under transaction ID, let's go ahead and assign that to the reference. And then every other column should be left unassigned. We'll go ahead and click Save, and it says we've imported 157 statement lines. And so this looks good. This is all of the gross amounts, but now we've gotten the gross amounts, but now we need to go back to our Excel file, CSV file, and we're going to go ahead and alter it so that we can import the PayPal fees. And so here we are back at our CSV, another little time warp for you just for fun. And you see the fee column. I have several fees in this import file. So what we're going to go ahead and do is let's just delete this gross column, because we don't want to import that again. And then under name, I want you to control click if you're in a Mac, or right click if you're in a Windows. And let's go ahead and click Insert. And let's put in a new name column. And I want you to put PayPal. Type PayPal into the first line. And let's just go and drag this all the way down. We have to, might take a little while, but drag that all the way down. We've set PayPal as the payee. And then I want us to take that old name column. Let's control or right click it, and we'll delete that name column. That's really all the edits we need to make for now. I'm going to go ahead and save this file and then import it back into Xero. So here we are back at the dashboard, and just like a few minutes ago, we are going to import this PayPal. Click Import Statement under the third column. We're going to find our same CSV file that we've resaved now that we've edited it just for fees. Click Import. And here we are. It's going to look pretty similar. We're going to take the time off. Transaction date is mapped. The name we're going to call payee. And then under fee, we're going to map to transaction amount. And then under transaction ID, we're going to map that to reference. And so we should have the date, the amount, the payee, and reference all mapped. And let's make sure we don't have any other ones assigned. And we'll go ahead and save that. And here we are, 67 fee statement lines were saved. We'll click OK. And after the second import, that means PayPal should be totally good to go. We got all the historical transactions in from the beginning of the year up to the automatic feed, and what we'll turn our attention towards next is how do we just double check that all of the importing activities we did in not only PayPal but the other accounts, how do we know for sure that all of it was successful and that we didn't duplicate anything, we didn't skip any transactions, and how do we just make sure that all the data that should have come into Xero is in fact imported into Xero. So that's what we're going to discuss in the next video, and we'll see you on the other side.